Hello guys, my name is Kelvin. I'm a fifth year at UCL, and this is my project. This project goes on for the entire year, so we have around 7 months to do it. 7, 8, no, 8 months, 8, 9 months to do this. And we are around 2 months in and a bit. And how our unit works is that we have 3 terms, and our tutors want to use the first term to fully only to do research and to decide on a thesis question, which then you begin designing with from second term onwards. So from now until December is pretty much for research and figuring out a thesis question. All right. My project title so far is called All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace, and it is about how predictive technologies shape power and agency from ancient divination to quantum computing. So my research question so far is similar to the subtitle, and it questions how do predictive systems, from ancient rituals to modern quantum computers, structure power and influence human agency. Why do I care about this? Why do we care about this? And how did I even land here? So, and recently there's been a lot of quantum computing news breaking out because it's saying that quantum computers are around the corner, and we're gonna lose. It's gonna decrypt everything we know, our credit cards, bank cards, all of these things. It will be able to crack once we achieve quantum computers. And this kind of boost in quantum computers relevance started in 2019 when Google announced the breakthrough in their new quantum computer called the Sycamore. And they're saying that this quantum computer has achieved what's called a quantum supremacy. This term means that when a quantum computer has the ability to execute a task that a classical computer can theoretically never complete. And once that happens, that's called what a quantum supremacy is. And that just means quantum computer has broken through this barrier of something that we've never thought that we can achieve with classical computers. And that's what Google declared with their new quantum computer in 2019. And how it proved it is saying that the quantum computer solved a task that would take a normal computer, a classical computer, 10,000 years to solve. And the quantum computer did it in 100 seconds or 200 seconds. So this was the big evidence that they gave in saying that they've achieved the supremacy. And what this made me think, well, looking at my classical computer, which I'm streaming from right now, is what the fuck does that mean? What does it mean when how do you prove that you've solved a task that would take anything else in the world 10,000 years? You can use theories to verify it, but how do you actually know what this quantum computer even does? What does that even mean to me when it can do that? And it just makes me realize how little I know about these technologies and what is becoming, I guess, on the internet such big deals and these big tech breakthroughs. To me, I just haven't understood it in pretty much all of my life, what a computer really does, especially what quantum mechanics is, what quantum computer does. Yet we are giving so much information on it, and it's getting money thrown at it, and it's promising all these big things like curing diseases, creating substances, all of that stuff. So I began to try to understand quantum computing, which is a terrible hole to dig for myself. And yeah, this is kind of the diagram of all the information I was able to gather in a week on quantum computer to try to understand it. So let's go through a bit of the basics, at least what I somewhat understand about quantum computing. So the difference between a classical computer and a quantum computer is that a classical computer functions in binary codes, so zeros and ones, on or off. And quantum computer is so on and off, a light switch, right, on and off. And a quantum computer is more like a clock. The pointer can point anywhere around on and off. So it can be 10% on and 90% off. It can be 11% on, whatever, 89% off. So there's now this percentage, this probability of it being on or off. And that's called a quantum state of a superposition that it can be in either on nor off until you make it on or off. It's weird, but you basically, once you observe it, it becomes on and off. But before you observe it, it can be anywhere around that spectrum. And I'm not going to go into the other stuff. That's pretty much what is quantum about the quantum computer. What quantum means, how it functions. There's different forms of qubits, superconducting or ion qubits or photon-based qubits. Superconducting just means it's created from a superconducting circuit, and these are the qubits that are the most stable right now. So it's the ones getting used the most. It's sent through a quantum computing gate. So this is me trying to get a rough understanding of this entire system. gets sent to the gate. There's more extra qubits that are stored. There's imperfect qubits which are used. There's many informed qubits make a perfect qubit, and perfect qubits help monitor the other qubits and make sure that they are stable. It doesn't make any sense. And once it gets past through the gate, it becomes, what I mean by superposition. It can have multiple outcomes at once, and it gets observed by this sensor, which uses radiation to observe the qubits and see if it's on and off, and then that then gets passed through this display. And all of this thing it's cooled to the temperature of space, outer space, which is Kelvin, absolute 0 degree Kelvin, and there's this. Imagine a giant air conditioner that's like the coolest air conditioner in the world that's cooling this thing. And all while this entire thing, the system and the cooler and everything is stored in a very, not isolated, but very insulated space because qubits are super unstable things. If I like blow wind at it, it's gonna fuck up the entire computer. If like someone farts, it's gonna be really bad. So it has to block all of those things out. So that's roughly what I know about quantum computers and how they work. And then I started to look into more of the architecture. So I guess I can't understand the actual quantum mechanics behind it, but what we can understand is the physical things that it's built from and built with. So looking into just the refrigerator. So it's called a cryogenic refrigerator, the cooling system for the quantum computer, and kind of how it cools it, which I'm not going to go into, but the materials that it takes, the labor that it takes, the cost of purchasing these materials, and the factories that manufacture them, and how they're transported, the companies that are associated with these, and doing similar things. So I'm creating this archaeological site of all the things that make up a quantum computer physically. And so from the cooling system, then to the room, the exact room that the system is in and the quantum computer is in. So this is the entire room. So the room uses floating floors, which is extremely good for insulating against vibrations. It uses double wall construction, so it's extremely thick, extremely thermally insulated. The elevators, the HVAC systems, any kind of electrical equipment has to be placed as far away as possible from the machine, because they themselves have even the smallest pulse. It will cause a lot of damage to the quantum computer. So it's a very solid structure around this room. And outside of this room, we have a cage that is anti-electromagnetic. It's called a Faraday cage, and it covers the entire room. It's like this big copper cage. And then apart from this, how quantum computer gets data is through the cables, the fiber optic cables. And this is some of the most insane fiber optics cables I've seen. It transfers 100 gigabytes per second. Imagine how fast that is. So that's the level of speed it can achieve and the information that it needs, and also what we're able to give it, I guess, at this point in our technology. And furthermore, it will be the security system that actually protects this entire laboratory of quantum computing, because obviously it's a very sensitive place. There's a whole war going, not war, but there's the race going on between America and China right now to develop the first quantum computer, because you can decrypt everything. You can then hack into anyone's system anytime, anywhere you want. So it is secretive. And I've begun to kind of mapping out all of these systems that allow a quantum computer to function. It traces back to where in the world are these materials found, and also how much overall we need of these materials. So overall, it's around 500 liters of helium, 18 tons of raw materials, a total cost of $1.2 million just for the physical infrastructure to accommodate the computer, and a total of 1,000 tons of excavation needed. So to find these raw materials, so all like the dirt and stuff that you have to excavate to find the raw materials to build this computer. So that is quite a decent amount, And so what does that mean for what does it even do for us? Why do we want this quantum computer so bad? And roughly summed out by the scientists who agree. So no one knows that there's any real world application of this computer. There's no proven application of this. Everything is theoretical. But in the field, most scientists agree that it will be able to manipulate matter at an atomic level, which means that it can create new drugs, it can create more efficient batteries, it can optimize the GPS, it can predict the weather accurately. Basically what it does is that it can take in so much data and process them simultaneously because of the superposition that the qubits can be in, that it can analyze at an incredible, like, it's almost like what do you call it? Like a live speed. What do you call it? A real-time speed. So basically, imagine, right, the weather is not that accurate right now because maybe a cloud shifts a bit to the left and that messes up the entire prediction of the weather. But what quantum computer can do is that it can take in the slightest shift of one cloud and redo the entire prediction so that it's always accurate. That's what it's supposed to promise you to do. And that is the most primary function of the quantum computer, is to make predictions, to make extremely accurate predictions based on data, taking a huge amount of data. It's like the more data you take in, the more accurate your prediction is. And what quantum computer can do is take in like a lot of data. I don't know how much, but a lot. So now we've kind of started to understand the quantum computer a bit better, not of its mechanics, but of, in theory, what it can do and how it functions, which is as a prediction mechanism, something that generates predictions. So looking into predictions in terms of what does it mean to have predictions? What do modern predictions mean? Is it accurate? Is it a reliable source for everyone to trust, and who holds the power to kind of conduct these predictions? So we trace back to kind of the ancient times, the beginning, the original prediction, to try to understand how it's become what it is now, because it's so complicated now that to simplify it, it requires looking into the past, which is more, simple. So this picture is of the Oracle of Delphine in Greece, a place where a lot of these kings used to gather in this temple on the hills, and she will be like, she's the, I don't remember her name, but she will be like blazing up weed in like this chamber, and there'll be clouds everywhere, and she'll have like these servants bring stuff to her, and then like she would tell you the prediction of like whatever prediction you want, and you would like believe in it. It's like, oh my god, it's God speaking to me. And this is just an example I just want to talk about. But starting with the most ancient form of prediction, which is predictions are based on the observation of nature. So this includes bird augury and geomancy. Bird augury is the prediction based on observing birds' flight patterns and all kind of other patterns of birds, but mostly flight. And geomancy is literally just following the nature's patterns. For example, the stream goes down to the west, therefore there must be a pond on the west, and there must be fish in it. And the tree grows more on the east side, so the sun must be on the east, and there must be more fruits on the east. So these are literally just public. You're walking around and you kind of try to predict what comes in certain direction, or what comes what direction based on the earth. And I looked a bit more into bird augury, which is it's tribal times. There's no cities. There's people just running around in like families, or maybe like a tribe. And what they would do is that the person who's probably usually the leader of the tribe would set up these like sticks which point up at the sky. So they would go high up on the mountains, set up these sticks that divide the sky into east, west, north, and left, right. And then they would make predictions based on the birds flying to left or right, or right to left. And they would literally just make up omens. They would say this is the god's thing, but it really is just their own theory of like flying left or right is good, right to left is good based on last time. And this was done on the public. So other things they take in is like species of birds, the kind of sacrifices they use, and where the birds land. If they land on a weapon, then it's like it means war. If they land on a stone, it means home or something. But yeah, this is 40,000 BC, so this is very ancient. But this was the first form of prediction, completely open, observing nature style prediction. Just remember that part. Second paradigm shift. So I'm studying each paradigm shift from beginning to end the prediction, from ancient times to the current form of prediction. And I'm trying to dissect, how prediction has changed in time. So this is the Gobekli Tepe, 9,000 BC, still old as hell, in Turkey. And this was the first time when prediction rituals were done in a built environment. So this is the first time people actually started building temples and like enclosed spaces to conduct these prediction rituals. So remember, the last one was an open space. This one is now enclosed one. And even from the beginning, you can start to see that there's different scales of different rooms. So predictions will be done in all of these rooms, but there's different scales, meaning that there's different intimacy of kind of, you're allowed to see this prediction, but you might not be allowed to see that one. There's more personal ones and there's more public ones. So the method is now starting to hint at the method being closed off to a certain group of people. Anyways, just remember kind of that the first time done in enclosed space, and the separation of, there's a hierarchy now in prediction. The next one is hepatoscopy, which is my favorite so far. This one is really good. It's really fucking fun. My tutors also really love this. Everyone loves it. 3000 BC, moving a bit ahead now. This is the examination of a animal's liver to predict. Right? This sounds fucking bonkers. This is done in ancient Mesopotamia, and I made a little geographer archaeological diagram for this. But what I only want to point out from it is so hepatoscopy, the examination of a sheep's liver to predict the future. Sounds ridiculous, right? But this is as respected and as institutionalized and as sacred as a quantum computer prediction today, or like a stock market prediction today. Everyone believed in it. This was believed to be the omen of the gods. This is like, you know, I don't know, like Mark Zuckerberg told you that, I don't know, you have to do something. You probably do it. I probably do it. But yeah, this is the goat's liver. So this is different sections, just like the sky. It's separated in different sections, each representing a god, and any blemishes in each section represent either a good omen or a bad omen. So same thing, looking into the architecture of how okay. Sorry, I'm getting distracted, but yeah, okay. Looking into the spaces that this ritual was practiced, which gives a lot of hints of how it's transformed from the previous to now. So this is now in a completely enclosed temple on the very top of a city. So this is the size of a room that this ritual will be performed in. The sheep will be killed, drained, and the liver will be taken out. And also the priest has to fast before this ritual. There's a very strict protocol before he can do this. He has to clean himself, he has to fast. So there's this like power bestowed upon this guy with his two scribes, two like handmans. And they're the only ones that can interpret God's message, so called. And they're the only ones that know how to interpret these messages. That was their job. They're very specific. So this room, drawn based on the most historical thing you can find on the internet scientifically. And one's drawing it can kind of understand how small it is and how little people can actually see this ritual and witness it happening and know what the outcomes are accurately. Everyone else will be on the outside. And this is in a temple which has multiple rooms, multiple shrines of different sizes. And this entire thing is now on a big, huge, giant temple. So this thing is probably like 50, 100 meters. It's a pretty big thing. It's like a soccer field size. And this entire thing is made just for this little ritual to happen at the very top. And that just shows how kind of important this thing is. So now it has become this very sacred thing where only the top people in control can witness the ritual. And what happens is that because of that, the king now has the option to change the input of the prediction as much as he wants. If he gets a result that he doesn't want, let's say he wants to attack the left side to his kingdom to get some more rice, and the sheep liver says fuck no, like that's bad. The god says no. He will just redo the ritual. He will just get another sheep until there's the right sheep that says his decision is the right one. So in a way, he is now generating the future. He produces the future from what he wants. He just uses this thing to prove it and to like get more power behind his decisions. So this is the main takeaway from hepatoscopy, when prediction became from a place with slight hierarchies to now being completely controlled by the highest power. And yeah, he controls this entire city. This ritual helps him control this entire city, all of these people, and helps him wage wars against other nations. It's become kind of a powerful thing. The next prediction paradigm shift is the Antikythera Mechanism. So this is the first computer that we humans have ever created. This is in ancient Greece, 100 BC. And they used this clock thing to predict solar cycles. So this was the first time that prediction was embodied into a machine. So now no longer was a huge ritual necessary, or this prediction is the first instance where a machine or non-human parts are creating predictions. And moving forward to the monastery, where the first clock was implemented to regiment this segmented daily life cycle. So time, which is an artificial creation by us, now functions as a prediction mechanism for what to do during the day, or how much prediction of how much time certain things take and what things happen at what time. So the monastery was the first to use these clocks, and they will have really rigid cycles of what to do at what time of the day using these machines. And the next one will be bringing these clocks to the public. So the Strasbourg astronomical clock, which gave this artificial time to the public. So now the public began to function based on this system of predictable time segments of the day. And this is slightly a jump, but so now we have prediction as something structured for the very powerful to control, and we have prediction as something that has seeped into our daily lives as well in terms of clocks. And now this is the next shift of the Bombe Machine. This is the machine that decoded the Enigma in the imitation game, if you guys have seen it. I don't know why they have never mentioned the name of this machine. I don't remember it calling Bombe, but this is what Alan Turing theoretically invented. So the Bombe Machine, 1940, this is the first case of a prediction mechanism being used to defend an entire nation. And this is when, this is when kind of computers are getting more on the rise as well. So yeah, the machine uses multiple drums to imitate the function of the Enigma and to reverse code the decryption in order to decrypt the messages. And obviously it has a lot of drums, each one representing an enigma, so it can try out so many variations at the same time. And this was kind of the shift of prediction still being half a ritual because of the amount of people it would take to reset these machines constantly to try out different variations and different letters, but also kind of prediction being a thing that was done by both humans and machines at the same time. And also you use these machines to predict bombs, where bombs are dropped, what time they're dropped. And now prediction is used to predict against enemies' actions, defend against the system which you are which you hold power of. So this obviously is kind of this is ordered by the government. This is done for the state to defend itself, defend the power structure that it already holds with prediction mechanism. So now prediction controls both the inside, controls the people of this country, and also controls the defense of this entire state. So it defends against exterior as well. So it controls the interior and defends against exterior. And the next paradigm shift of softwares. So this is when we can now store instructions, programs inside of this. At this time, it was like really. And this time, I can't zoom in. At this time, it was stored in these like paper slips that had dots in it, and dots represent instructions. But this was the first time when we don't have to manually control all the functions of our machines. We can store things, tell it to do what it does, and we can just sit there and watch it do these predictions for us. This is the EDSAC, which was invented in Cambridge, and this was mainly to help scientific studies and to look through a large amount of data. And what you notice from the plan drawings is that from the previous Bombe Machine, there's now much less people needed in this room to function, to allow this prediction mechanism to function. So this marks the decline of human physical effort needed to generate predictions, and the incline of, computers' ability to take in data. So they're taking in now more data than they could have before. So this is a growth in data intake. Then becomes the next phase of everyone having a prediction mechanism in their house. So this was Apple II when they introduced a homeowner's computer. And this is like the clock. So this is the next phase of the clock. You having this predictionism in your home that you constantly revolve around. So the clock, we live by time. We begin to segment our days by time, schedule ourselves, be more efficient, when to go to bed, when to get up. And now with the computer, which now we live around as well. We do work on it. We sometimes, a lot of times, relax on it. We use it to see what the weather is going to be like, what the stock market is going to do, what's coming up next on sports. or placing bets, all of these things. So now this prediction, we feel like we have control over predictions. We can make predictions ourselves with these hardwares and softwares. But what I think the point is with this is that these machines have been designed by somebody else, and these softwares have been designed by somebody else. Hardware and software is not different. You can't just have this computer that's 100 years old and you run a super new software on it. That's not how it works. You can't do that because the hardware can't function, can't handle the software. So software and hardware needs to be constantly moving up together.
That's your name.
And sorry.
Yeah. By the way, anyone who's wondering, Shoei's new nickname.
And hardware has just as much control over what you can do than software.
Whatever.
And so you're using this machine that gives you the free will of I can do all of these things, but everything that you can do is still being produced by someone else. So you can never do something that someone else's software or Google's software is not letting you do. Right? There's still this limitation. So it's like a magic trick when someone gives you a deck of cards and you picking a card out and you're like, you obviously you probably don't think you're actually gonna cheat the magician, but you'd be like, oh, I've picked something myself, so in a way maybe this will mess up his trick, but it never does, because he anticipated for you to do your action within the system that he's already designed himself, which will always generate the outcome that he wants. So in a way, we're using prediction machines to predict things that we want, but really the answers we get are already predetermined by someone else. And this is even more. So if you didn't understand what I was saying, you understand a bit more now with this, I think. So this is the next stage of supercomputers. So these are computers that can take in huge amount of data, like at very incredible like accuracy and a lot. Like this is what Instagram, Facebook, social media all uses. Social media companies, even Google, right? Google, Facebook, Instagram, all these things, they're free. How are they free? When something when something is free, this is set by the ex-employees of all these big companies. Like some people will be like co-founders of Facebook and stuff. So what they sell is not, what does Facebook sell? They sell you ads, right? But what is it? So who pays Facebook? How you don't pay Facebook? I don't pay to use Google or to use Instagram, right? Who pays them? Who pays them are huge companies that want to sell products. For example, I have a company on selling diapers. Right? Who am I going to pay to advertise this? I'm going to pay Google, Facebook, Instagram. And how do they advertise it for me? Is they sell things to their users. So they can control their users so well and manipulate them into buying things that they are now getting paid by other companies to sell you things. So they're like this middleman. And also, if you think about it another way, they are selling your information to the diaper companies or they're selling you. Okay, I was saying this really badly. They said it in such a cool way, but you get what I mean. So Facebook, Google, what makes them money is your data, is how they build an accurate model of you, how you function, what you like, what gets you to stay on the phone for a little longer, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. And they build up this giant profile on you. They can hear you, right? They can hear me as I speak and talk about this thing. I'm presenting on YouTube right now. I'm using Google to present on them. They know everything I do, what I do when I'm happy, what I do when I'm sad, what I do when I wake up. And they sell this data to these companies that want to sell you products, tell them where to fit the products in. So when I'm sad, they will suggest me a product that will help me when I'm sad. When I'm happy, they will suggest me, I don't know, some food, whatever. And how they are collecting all these data and storing them and using it to predict our what we want is these supercomputers. These things are what enables them to give us algorithm like changes in real time. If I don't like a reel, it will give me a different reel. So now it can predict. It can predict our behavior, right? It can manipulate our behavior, and these computers are used to predict our behavior. And this is kind of where we're at. And yeah, so this is kind of the end. But what my next thing is kind of tracing back into quantum computer and understanding all the infrastructures in detail. What are all the physical things needed to make this predictions happen? And whether that is still similar, is there similarities between how quantum computers currently function to how rituals functioned back in the days? Because I think we have this instinct to think rituals are more malleable than computers, right? Like a temple, if someone is religious, what they predict is less accurate than what a computer predicts, well, I guess what Jesus predicts is less than what computer predicts, maybe. Or you can kind of change this human to like the ritual, like the diviner. More people were required for rituals back then than for quantum computers today. So does that mean, what are the differences that makes with less people now involved in prediction? And maybe finding out about exactly how quantum computers predict, all the people and the infrastructures that goes into it, and whether it has to be, can it be used in other ways other than to manipulate people and collect people's data and manipulate people and to sell by big tech companies to other companies who want to make a profit. So that, I think, is the current research question. I have the notes from my tutors and the feedbacks from my crit, and if you guys are interested, I can read it to you guys just to give you an image of what some tutors' feedback is on my presentation. And also, obviously, you're welcome to give feedback whenever you want. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's where I am so far, and I think there's a lot more research to be done.